Not quite. The rumors swirling around might sound dramatic, but the truth is a lot less shocking than the headlines suggest. But here's why you're hearing about it, and why it's suddenly everywhere you look. Have you seen the headlines? Coca-Cola quits America? Splashed across your feed, making you do a double take. It's the kind of news that makes you spit out your morning Coke, or at least pause mid-sip, wondering if you read that right. You can just picture the chaos, memes of the Statue of Liberty weeping into a can of Pepsi, social media in meltdown, and people joking about switching to root beer. For millions, Coca-Cola isn't just a drink, it's a piece of Americana, woven into everything from summer barbecues to Super Bowl commercials. The idea of it leaving feels personal, almost like a betrayal by an old friend you thought would always be there. But let's all take a deep breath. Coca-Cola is not actually leaving America. The factories are still running, the shelves are still stocked, and your favorite soda isn't going anywhere. The headline is pure clickbait, designed to grab your attention and get you talking, sharing, and maybe even panicking for a moment. And let's be honest, it worked. People everywhere are talking about it, debating it, and sharing their own Coke stories. But it's a flare pointing to a much bigger, more complicated story, one that goes far beyond soda. This is about trade, technology, and two global superpowers, America and China, locked in a high-stakes economic standoff that affects everything from what we drink to what we drive. Why use Coca-Cola? Because it's a symbol, an American brand everyone understands, instantly recognizable and emotionally charged. When you attach complex issues like tariffs, taxes, and international disputes to Coke, suddenly the abstract becomes personal. It's not just about numbers on a spreadsheet, it's about something you hold in your hand. The real story isn't about soda, it's about a new, escalating trade war between the US and China, fought on the battlefield of electric vehicles, batteries, and the future of technology. This isn't a war with soldiers, but with taxes, trade barriers, and policies that ripple through global markets, affecting jobs, prices, and even the brands we love. So let's put the Coke can down for a moment and look at what's really going on, because the real story is just beginning. So, what kicked this off? Let's rewind to the moment when the world's two largest economies found themselves on a collision course, setting the stage for a dramatic showdown that would ripple through global markets and everyday lives. It all circles back to a Trump administration policy in April 2025, what they called Liberation Day. This was more than just a date on the calendar, it was a bold declaration that the US was ready to take drastic action to reshape its economic relationship with China. The White House announced a sweeping 104% tariff on a wide range of Chinese imports, from electronics to textiles, all with the stated goal of protecting American manufacturing and saving jobs that many felt were slipping away overseas. The move was pitched as a way to level the playing field, but it sent shockwaves through supply chains and boardrooms across the globe. But the real shock came with even higher tariffs on China's booming electric vehicle sector, up to 100% on Chinese-made EVs and their components. This wasn't just about cars, it was about the future of green technology and who would lead the next generation of transportation. The message was clear: if you want to sell EVs in America, you'd better build them here. The administration hoped this would spark a renaissance in American auto manufacturing, bringing jobs and innovation back home. China didn't take this lying down. In response, Beijing fired back with its own tariffs, targeting American-made goods, including EVs, agricultural products, and even some high-tech components. The tit-for-tat escalated quickly with each side digging in. Suddenly, what started as a policy announcement became a full-blown trade war, with both countries locked in tense negotiations and global markets reacting to every headline. Each side is now trying to hurt the other's key industries, hoping the other will blink first. Behind the scenes, industry leaders and workers alike are bracing for impact, uncertain about what the future holds. For the US EV industry, already struggling to go mainstream, this was like hitting a massive pothole. Sales slowed, investments paused, and workers worried about their jobs as uncertainty loomed. The very policies meant to protect American industry put it right in the crossfire, leaving companies and workers caught between two economic giants, wondering who would blink first, and what the true cost of this trade war would be. Let's break it down. What's a tariff? You've probably heard the word tossed around in the news, especially when countries are arguing about trade. But what does it actually mean for you, your wallet, and the things you buy every day? Imagine you sell cupcakes for $2, but your neighbor Lee sells his for $1. Naturally, people flock to Lee's stand because his cupcakes are cheaper, even if yours taste just as good. Suddenly, your business is in trouble. To protect your business, the council steps in and adds a $1.50 tax to Lee's cupcakes, making his more expensive than yours. Now customers might think twice before buying from Lee, and your cupcakes start selling again. That's a tariff, a tax placed on imported goods to make domestic products more competitive. It's like giving local businesses a fighting chance against cheaper foreign competition. Governments use tariffs to try to balance the playing field. In reality, the US is slapping huge tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles and their parts. This isn't just about cupcakes, it's about cars, electronics, clothes, and more. Tariffs can affect almost anything that crosses a border. For example, a $25,000 Chinese EV now costs $50,000 after tariffs, before the dealer even adds their profit. That's a massive jump, and it changes what people can afford. The main argument for tariffs is that they protect domestic jobs by making foreign goods pricier, encouraging people to buy American. When local factories stay busy, workers keep their jobs and communities thrive. But there's a catch. Importers usually pass those extra costs on to consumers. That means higher prices for everyone, not just for the imported goods, but sometimes for local products too. Shielding domestic companies from competition can also stifle innovation. Without the pressure to compete, companies might not work as hard to improve quality or lower prices, and that can keep costs high for years. So, while tariffs promise protection, they also risk higher prices and fewer choices for ordinary people. You might find yourself paying more for less, whether you realize it or not. It's a trade-off, security for some, higher costs for all. The benefits and drawbacks don't always fall evenly, and the debate over tariffs is as much about values as it is about economics. And in a trade war, that tension only grows. Countries retaliate, new tariffs are added, and the cycle can spiral, affecting jobs, prices, and even international relationships. The big question remains, does protectionism help or hurt in the long run? Economists and politicians argue about it endlessly, and the answer isn't always clear. So next time you see a price tag or hear about tariffs in the news, remember, these policies shape what ends up in your driveway and what it costs you. Let's see how it plays out in your driveway. How does this affect you? Prices. Chinese-made EVs that could have been affordable are now out of reach. Tariffs also hit parts, batteries, chips used by American car makers. When those get pricier, so do American-made EVs. The result? Fewer choices, higher prices, and a slower transition to electric vehicles. The average EV already costs thousands more than a gas car. Tariffs widen that gap. The government's clean transport goals get harder to reach. For drivers, the EV revolution might be stuck in traffic. You'd think tariffs would help American car companies, but it's not that simple. US automakers rely on global supply chains, especially for batteries and electronics from China. Tariffs double their costs, making EVs even less profitable. Many are already losing money on EVs, now losses could become unsustainable. The likely response? Scale back EV production and focus on profitable gas vehicles. This slows down innovation and investment in the US EV industry. Tariffs also risk alienating foreign partners who build factories and create jobs in America. For US automakers, the trade war isn't a shield, it's a storm. Rising costs, export threats, and policy chaos make it impossible to plan. They're collateral damage in a war they didn't start. To understand the disruption, face the facts. China leads the world in electric vehicles. They control everything, from mining minerals to making advanced batteries and affordable EVs. The US and Europe are playing catch-up, relying on China's supply chain. Chinese brands like BYD and Xiaomi offer high-performance EVs at prices US companies can't match. China's scale drives relentless cost-cutting and innovation. Tariffs wall off the US from these advances, risking stagnation. Building a US supply chain would take years and massive investment. Meanwhile, American automakers need Chinese parts. Tariffs don't create new supply, they just make the old one more expensive. China's in the driver's seat and the US risks being left behind. Let's return to that Coca-Cola headline. While Coke isn't leaving, the scenario highlights a real risk trade wars spill over. A conflict with China isn't a surgical strike, it's a sledgehammer. Tariffs on one sector ripple out, raising costs for countless businesses. Coca-Cola needs aluminum, machinery, and logistics, much of it sourced globally. Trade wars disrupt supply chains, raise costs, and can even spark retaliatory campaigns against American brands. Suddenly, companies far from the EV fight feel the pain. Higher costs get passed to consumers, your six-pack costs more. The domino effect is real. One action triggers another, putting jobs at risk in unexpected places. The Coca-Cola Quits America headline is fiction, but the fear is real. In a global economy, no one is insulated from a trade war's fallout. The consequences can hit home in surprising ways. At the heart of this debate is the future of the American dream. Tariffs promise to protect jobs and revive manufacturing. For communities hurt by outsourcing, that's appealing. But critics warn tariffs could backfire, raising costs, hurting competitiveness, and costing jobs. If automakers scale back EV plans, new jobs may never appear. Retaliation could hit other sectors, from agriculture to tech. There's also the risk of stifling innovation by isolating U.S. companies from global competition. America faces a choice: build walls for protection, or compete and innovate on the world stage. The path we choose will shape our economy for decades. The stakes couldn't be higher. We started with a fake headline, but end with a real dilemma. The EV trade war is about more than cars. It's about America's economic future. Do we protect what we have or risk stagnation by shutting out global innovation? Tariffs may save some jobs, but could cost others and raise prices. The dream of a vibrant EV industry is at risk if protection makes it unprofitable. The real question: do we compete globally or insulate ourselves? Protecting the fortress may just build a wall that keeps progress out. The future of American industry and jobs depends on the answer.